And hello, everybody. I made it. I am at the hotel. Probably obvious, giving my actually absolutely top of the line hotel decor. But I raced, kind of cut myself a little short. I was at an estate sale, and I set an alarm to make sure I could leave the estate sale in time to make it to the hotel. But I kind of ignored my alarm. So I stayed there a little bit longer than I was supposed to because I found some really cool stuff. Some of which I brought in. A lot of it's still in the car. So I will try and I'll be doing a haul. I'll probably be doing multiple haul videos while I'm on the road. And this was just one I wanted to squeeze in during my regular time, since I normally, or at least once upon a time, had been trying to do things at 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And now the theater is, I'm not going to say under control, but I'm not involved in community theater right now. I actually have my Thursday nights back again. I happen to be traveling. So I decided to do a Trusty on location, Trusty on the road. So this is going to be kind of showcasing some stuff that I picked up yesterday and today. I just started my road trip yesterday, left the ice storm of Chicago, but luckily headed south. So I was able to get out, pretty much just ended up driving through rain the entire day, but I did not have any of the snow or any of the actual ice that so much of the upper Midwest got hit with. So I did actually end up traveling in warmer weather, and it hit the upper 70s today. I did not pack for this. I did not anticipate it being this warm. So we shall see if I'm going to be doing any purchases of clothing somewhere along the line, because I do not have shorts. I think I did pack one short sleeve shirt just in case. But I'm not traveling to Cancun, so I did not anticipate it actually being warm. But I am here and I'm in the hotel and a little winded. I was able to grab something to drink, so I'm going to be drinking while we are drinking soft drinks. Dr. Pepper, if you'd like to sponsor me, I'm more than happy to take it. But I did pick up some cool things along the road. And like I said, I'll probably be doing additional videos. One of the coolest things I picked up today, if you follow me on Instagram, you actually would have seen a video or a couple pictures that I posted, because I was trying to get information on a small trunk. It's either a small trunk or a large document box, and I was trying to find some age to it, and I ended up buying it. So I will probably do a more dedicated video to that piece, because it's probably the most I've spent on anything in quite some time. But it's a pretty cool piece, probably early 19th century. A couple people have bounced back thinking maybe it's late 18th century, which would be super cool, but I can't really tell. So I'll be doing a little bit more investigative reporting. But if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen the piece that I'm showing. So can I bring it up while we're on here? I think if I bring up Instagram while we are chatting, I think I can share it. So let me see what I can do here. So yeah, let me bring that up. Now let me share my screen. How do I do that? Do I present, share screen? I'm going to share my Instagram, share. All right, hopefully you're seeing my Instagram page. Yes, you are. So this is, how do I make this bigger? I just hearted my own piece. I don't know how to make this bigger. Anyway, so it is a small document or a large document box or a small trunk. So you can see this is sitting in a roll top desk. So kind of for scale, I wasn't holding or anything. There's a big key that's hanging off the edge of it. But then inside the lid, somebody drew this drawing. And so I was trying to figure out, looking at the mustache and this high collar, possibly the age of this piece. They sold it to me as just 19th century. But I'd like to get it a little bit more specific than that. Hey, Heather. Thank you. The hat is serving a necessary evil right now, because I have been running around all day today and I am a mess. Didn't shave today. So this is covering a pretty sweaty mess on the top of my head. Hey, Debbie. So thanks so much. I'm not sure why the air conditioner keeps kicking on right next to it. So I have to turn it off. I will turn it off. But so yeah, so that is the piece that I picked up today. TFA and HM coming in from Canada. I hope I can get a little bit more specific. Somebody bounced back to me saying that they thought it looked a little bit like an Edgar Allan Poe. I don't think it's a Poe, obviously. I mean, that'd be nice, but I certainly don't think it's Poe himself. But that mustache, and then like the hair is just obviously kind of drawn in, but the little bit of the high collar. So Poe died in the 40s, 1840s. I can't remember exactly when he died. So I was thinking it was pre-Civil War. I thought I did do a quick Google search to try and find. I looked up Regency because of that high collar. So I was thinking like 1810s, 1820s. So in England, the Regency period was clean shaven, but they did say that mustache was more common in French and international. So that was like Napoleonic. Okay, so I think 1849. I think, okay, so Tim, you're probably saying that's what, unless you are dating my trunk, which I will love you forever. But I think you're saying Poe died in 1849, which that sounds about right. I couldn't remember exactly when it was, but I knew he was pre-Civil War. And I think like he went to West Point in something like 1820, and he wasn't that old when he died. So I figured you're somewhere in the 1840s. Anyway, it does kind of have like the general appearance of Poe in the sense of that mustache. So that probably is about the right era. So maybe 1820s, maybe 1830s, maybe 1840s. By the Civil War, it seemed like facial hair got full, like the big, what do you call them? The sideburns, like the big mutton chops and things like that. So that's what started happening kind of in the Civil War. You wouldn't have just had a mustache. You'd have a lot more facial hair. So anyway, so I will do another video. I did not haul that in from the car. So that is still sitting in the car. I think I'm in a safe enough area that it'll still be in the car in the morning. But yeah, so that was a fun find of today. So the chest, okay, so the chest is made of wood, and it has metal straps. So, and it's actually really cool. I will post a video of that I did take of it in the store. And I even said in the video, I'm like, okay, this store was amazing. And I will be posting a video of some of the stuff that I found. But so I did take a video. And so what it is, it's actually curved wood. So they actually have bent it. So you can see on the inside where they have actually planed down the middle, the inside of the wood to make the curve of that body of the box. And then they've strapped that in. And then there's two big metal, let me share it again. There's two metal straps on the top. And let me get to that. So this is the inside. So on the inside, you can see there's like a metal brad that's holding the handle on. So this is wood. So this dark, all of this is wood. You can kind of see the graining in this. And then you can see there's this curved metal piece on the side, and then a curved strap there and a curved strap there. And then this is probably a little bit more of a decorative piece because that's then what the handle is held on with. This, you can't really see it in this picture, and I apologize, I don't know how to make it bigger. There is the lock on it, and there's a big skeleton key hanging off the back that opens it. And then the straps that are here, when the lid lifts up, actually, you can kind of see it here. There's another strap that comes down, and it comes down and holds the bottom in place. So the metal strap does actually support the bottom. The inside, to me, looks like pine. I'm not particularly knowledgeable in my wood, but it's a very light color. And because of the fact that it had to curve, like this curve of this metal strap is what the box does. So it's curved. So when they did it, they carved out the middle enough so that they could bend it. So it's pretty cool. And I wasn't going to buy it initially. And then I just decided that, well, initially I wasn't going to buy it because I couldn't think of any place to put it. Like literally, like I'm sitting here in every corner of my house. Like, could it go up on the piano? Could it do this? Could it do that? Could it replace something else? So what I've finally decided on, I'll show this once I fill it out. It is going to be the mother of all ephemera bowls. I'm going to leave the lid open. And right now in the curve of my balcony on the upstairs, I have a giant Blue Mountain pottery fish. I do not like it. It is not particularly my decor. It's just so big. I don't want to ship it. And it's too big to even fit in my booth. So it literally just sits there. And but every day I walk by it, it mocks me that you bought me and you haven't sold me. So I'm going to move that. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm going to move that. And then I'm going to put this on that corner. Like it's going to have to kind of like, it's a corner of the railing. So it'll just be overlapping that. And I'll put some books or something in it to make sure that it's flat. So that when I lift up the lid so you can see it, I'll just kind of put some paper holders in there for the ephemera, and it'll just be a really cool ephemera bowl. So hi, Gina Marie. I love when StreamYard takes the shows what emojis look like. So it's hi Patrick, person, turquoise, waving. So hello. So yes. And so it's more than I typically would spend on a spur of the moment thing for something that I don't even collect. But like I kind of feel like my decor is kind of I kind of dubbed it as a working title, gilded industrial, where it's like there's some industrial stuff in there, but it's also, I've also got gilt stuff. I've got porcelain, I've got glass. So I like having some of that. This kind of goes better with my piano, it goes better with the stoneware, but I really don't have any place for that to go on my piano. And I don't want to displace so much stoneware. And my piano, if you've seen my channel before, my piano that's behind me is so tall, you really wouldn't be able to see it very well, particularly once I open up the lid. So by putting it up on my balcony, people will see it as they go upstairs. Not that I've guessed that often, but I get to see it every time I go to bed, and that's what is important. I'm pretty sure it's not, the hardware is making it look a little medieval because of the strapping. I'm sure it is not that old because I think the interior would have darkened significantly by that. And pirate style, I think what throws me off is those curved edges. So I'll be posting more either videos or pictures of it. I don't think a pirate would have done that. I mean, I think this is somebody who had some skill, but it is still like roughly hewn. So it's just pretty it's just pretty cool. So yes, I agree. It's going to be very cool for display because the problem is, and you really couldn't tell it from the picture, it's slightly domed. So the fact is, I'd want to be able to display it upright anyway, because I want to be able to see the sgraffito inside. But and that's the problem with trunks. Like if anyone has ever priced trunks, steamer trunks that are flat on top sell for more than the ones that are domed. The ones that are domed are more attractive, but you can't do anything with them. You can't put your TV on it. You can't use it to hold anything because that dome, it's literally designed so nothing can sit on top. So they look attractive. So this is the same problem. If this were flat, it'd be far more versatile. The fact that it's got that curved top makes it aesthetically pleasing, but it made it a lot harder to try and find a place. And I will say that thing is designed. There's the handle on the top. There's also two, I don't think they really would show up well enough, two really small, like probably 2 inches iron rings that are also attached at the sides. You couldn't use all 3 because you'd have to have 3 hands. That box probably weighs about 20 pounds empty. So that that thing's heavy. And so depending on what it's holding, I think it's a document box. That's to me, I think it's a strong box, but it's relatively large for a strong box. The person that sold it to me felt it was more of a small trunk for clothing, but it is really small. Like a top hat would probably have a hard time fitting in that. So it probably is a gentleman's trunk. There is when you lift up the lid, the sgraffito's off to the side. There's a leather strap that's also pinned in place that gives 2 slots to slip something in. Not sure what it is. She's like, well, maybe it was for tools. I don't think it would have been for tools. And then that strap would only hold 2 tools. So I don't know. It's one of those cases. I don't know how we're going to get more research, and that's it, Tim. Something's got to go with your gut. And it was just one of those, I just kept staring at it. And once I figured out a place that I could put it, it was mine. That was the thing. We're all in this. You end up finding beautiful things, but unless you have hoarder status or tendencies, it's hard to buy everything you see just because you like it. And I would have gone broke if I bought everything that I liked in this place, because I'll do a full video on it, but I'll give you a spoiler. So one of the things that she told me, she was super, super friendly. She did not want to be videotaped. She did not want to be on my videos, but she told me a bunch of different things. So I'll be doing some research for some of the stuff that I show. But she's like, oh, well, I got to take you to our other warehouse. She's like, that's where the bread and butter of our business is done. And I'm like, okay, so I'm in this room with 10-foot tall bookcases, 12-foot tall sideboards, mantelpieces that are 10 feet tall, art tile, bronze, chandeliers that wouldn't fit through my front door. I just major pieces. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. These are all one-off things. What's going to be your bread and butter? So she takes me to this warehouse, and their bread and butter pieces are bar backs. They are the built. It turns out they're not built in. It's the gigantic freestanding pieces that would be at the back of a Victorian era bar that have been salvaged out of old buildings. And they have one. It's in the video. It has to be at least 20 or 30 feet long. I mean, it is absolutely massive. And it's just amazing. She's like, they sell that kind of stuff all the time. They become specialists for it. So super cool. So Victorian doll clothing, they would be cool as well. There'd be a lot. It would hold a lot of doll clothes. Let's see. So who else who did I miss? So Chad. So Maria's here. Hi, Maria. So I didn't see you come in. I was already talking to Ricky, but I don't think I said hi. Gina, I think I said hi to. Maria. I can see who I might have missed here. Oh, Chad. Hey, Chad. So thanks everyone for joining in. So this was just, I'm on the road, and this is not going to be a sale, but I will say, except for the trunk, I will say that pretty much everything I'm going to show is probably going to end up being for sale. It'll probably go on my eBay channel, but it might go into some of my live sales. But I will say, if there's anything that I show you that you like, just send me an email, tell me what you're interested in, and I will, we can work out a price. Yeah, I'm not pricing anything here because I haven't researched everything. But if there's something that you really like there, we can work something out, because I am, except for the trunk, I am reselling everything. So actually, let me put, how do I put my email back on? And right here. Okay, well, thmvintage@gmail.com. I don't know why it's not showing up. So anyway, so I will show, because that's why I said I would host in this. I'm just going to do kind of a live sale. So this was super cool, and we're going to do some hive mind. You guys have to tell me what you think these are, because I don't know, but I thought they were cool. So they are little. I'll show you one. They're little cards, and they're kind of a thicker paper, kind of like they kind of feel like an ink blotter type paper, because I think there's definitely some age to these. Clearly, they were designed to hold something on the sides. So we've got this little house up on a hill, but then that's like probably like one of the most boring ones of all of them. It just happens to be one on top. Dancing couple, some 17th century, 18th century design. Another couple. So all of these have kind of like a period appearance to them, but they're not of the period that they're showing. These are definitely not from the 1700s. But the illustrations are so cute, and some of them have a signature on them. So I need to do a little bit of research on these. All full color. And then they just have this, they just have this section off to the side to put something. So I've kind of gotten into a little niche, because I collect them for myself, but I've gotten into a niche that I'm going to start reselling them, probably at my booth, menus. And so when I first saw these, I felt like these kind of looked like what would be little menu cards, like the little place cards or place cards. Now they're a little big for being place cards, so for scale, you figure for the size of pop, it's a fairly big place card, but the illustration is pretty cool. And you can see they're kind of like rough cut on the edges. I don't know. I don't know the age of these. So what do you guys think these are? So they could be place cards. They could be like for menus. They're probably too small to be postcards, because I think there are some standards of what postcards need to be. So I don't see that those would be mailed on their own. Like they could go into a card, like, so they could just be little greeting cards. This one I thought was interesting because the art, well, I think that cloud is part of the art because look how far the grass goes. So this one doesn't have nearly as much space available. So Ricky Donald saying possibly the ink blotter, that it would be the advertising off on the side, which they're a little small for, like, the ink blotters that I carry have been a little bit bigger than this, but they're kind of that same material. Like that's just kind of what made me think. So Bria feels the same way that ink blotters sound right. But Tim is they what, regardless of what they were made for, they would be cute to put just like a little even if it's a short menu or program for the evening or just the names. They're all different. They all have a different design. So I don't know if these would have been a set. Like if these were sold as a set that then was cut down. If this is only a part set, you can see there's another signature up at the top. And either this is a duplicate or I had already set this one down. No, this is a different one. It's just there's only two architectural ones. The other one, the building was up on a hill. This one's more like a castle. So like with these, they're looking kind of European. Oh, well, hold on a second. As I set them down, I was flipping them over. Guess what? They say made in France. So they're French. All right. So refresh our memories here. Made in France. So the made in didn't get added until what? 1914 was when the law changed. 1912. I don't feel like Googling it right now. I think it's 1914. So 1892 was when things had to be marked with their country of origin. And then I think it was 1914. It had to say made in. It couldn't just say France or Germany. It had to say made in. So these are probably from late teens or 20s, which based on the style of illustration, not the style of dress, but the style of illustration, I could see like a little flapper drawing, done like that. So did ink blotter have graphics that large? Proportionally, yes. I will say I have some ink blotters that, again, this is a little small for ink blotters. Like if you blow this up, I have them where half of it is the image. So the fact that it's like a third of it, that's reasonable. Like you really wouldn't be able to put a lot of advertising in there, but if this was for a French department store or something, it would be enough for the address. So this is something, because that was coming from Heather Elizabeth at Antique Agenda. Give you a little primer. She and I are going to be doing a video on her channel that is going to be talking about Victorian trade cards. So I think these are later than Victorian trade cards, but I think the concept, they could be like the ink blotters were kind of like business cards. So these are just a smaller scale. So advertising blanks. So I think that these would have been made at some point. They did the design first, because what would probably have happened is the design would have been done, because it's done in full color, and you saw it better on that one that was really, really wide. And that one is a little questionable. They would probably have to print over it. But if you look at the coloring on this one, you can see that the color does not match the exact line. So you can see like the dress. So if this was done in a multicolor plate screen printing, you can see the grass doesn't go all the way up to her shoes because of the level of technology. So they probably would have done all of these in all the colors, printed them as blanks, just like what Ricky Donald's saying, and then had them available, because then when you added if these are ink blotters or any sort of advertising piece, the advertising piece is probably just all black. So then you would just silk screen or just print the black onto these. And so if you did it in black, that would still cover it up. And I agree. They're sweet. These I'll definitely sell. As much as I would hate to like split them up, I can't say that they're a set. They just happen to buy a stack of them together. So I'll probably sell them separately, because I think I think I'll be able to make my money back on these, and I just think they're super cute. Like I said, I was branching into menus, and so I was actually able to find a couple different menus. So this one, I've got to kind of, this is where you have to, my reselling hat has to kind of like waver with my personal taste hat versus like whatever. So, I'm always going to go for things that are like truly antique, like over 100 years old. And if the 19th century is even better. So this is a menu from 1909. Okay, there ain't nobody alive that went to this dinner. So this one, hopefully I can find like some overlap. The Beta Phi Sigma, I'll have to look that up. I don't know if that's a fraternity or a sorority. It's their first annual banquet at Coulter House. I'll have to look that up too. But it's got the Beta musical program with director D. Watson. Their musical options were Glowworm, Lahara, Take Me on a Honeymoon, Miss Melinda, M-A-L, Flashing Eyes, and Make Believe. Okay, none of those ring a bell. And then their meal on November 26th, 1909 was consomme in cups, then celery, queen olives and pickles, escalloped oysters and June peas, roast young turkey with cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes, mousse a la beta, shrimp salad and mayonnaise, cream cheese, reception flakes. I don't know what that is. And coffee. So November 26th, 1909. That was before Thanksgiving locked onto the fourth Thursday. It used to move around. So I don't know if November 26th was a Thursday, but they were serving turkey. So I don't know if this is a Thanksgiving dinner or if it just happens to be a dinner that took place in late November. So I picked it up for a good price. We'll see. What I'm finding, the menu market on eBay is very, very large. They are very popular and they can sell for good money, but it's also kind of flooded that if you don't have anything particularly special about it, it's hard to get people to even find what you have to offer. And since my eBay presence is still relatively small, I need to kind of build it up. So some of the menus I think will probably end up in my booth. This one though will probably go online simply because the number of people that walk by my booth, I'm sure the percentage is way too small to ever find someone who knows what Beta Phi Sigma is. Where online, if you're a fraternity, sorority, Beta Phi Sigma, you might want it simply because, oh, cool, I graduated with that. And I don't have things, I want things with that name. So I had that menu. I have this menu, which I will admit I wasn't sure I should buy. But when I start thinking so much about it, like this might stay my personal collection. Actually, it will stay my personal collection. So this is a cruise ship menu. So if anyone watched my deep dive, this was probably a couple years ago, I did a deep dive with Sam from Dining at Sea. He has an absolutely amazing Instagram channel. He hasn't added to it lately. It was kind of a COVID project for him. But he just kind of basically photographed all of his own collection. Like he wasn't a reseller. It's just things that he bought. And he has an amazing collection. And I started my collection entirely his fault. Every time I get a new menu, I send a picture of it and I just say your fault. Yeah. So because it is. So this one is a German menu. So it is from NS Gemeinschaft Kraft der Freude, St. Louis. And it's from May 2nd, 1935. It is a postcard menu, which are my favorite kinds because they're smaller. So the idea is it would fold up and you would have an image on one side and then a postcard on the other. But for our history buffs, what was happening in Germany in 1935? The war hadn't started yet, but a certain political party had come into power, and you ended up with this as a postmark. So not something that I actively add to my collection, but it is a part of history. In 1935, this was the party that was in power. And just like any other country, whatever is the ruling party, they have their state symbol on their stamps or on their pieces. So like I said, because I'm keeping this in my permanent personal collection, I'm not overly concerned Some people, there was issues about reselling things like that. It's just, it's not the most attractive piece because it's kind of I'll have to get my daughter to actually translate it. It's something on the North Seabod is, I can tell that. So I don't know why this particular image was the one that they chose, but I have a collection of pre-World War II menus. That's what I collect. And this is a pre-World War II menu. It says right on there, 1935. So it's going to stay in my personal collection. It's a postcard menu. Absolutely love it. Super happy to have found it. And yes, not everyone is thrilled with the idea of having that symbol or that propagating it. But like I said, reseller, that's a different issue in reselling. To me, it is actually part of history, and I'm not honoring it. I'm just recognizing that it exists. All right, so I've got a couple comments on tasting history. I have not heard of this. So what is tasting history? Is it like food, historic food? I do follow the what's the TikTok guy's name that cooks all the old recipes, and he's actually coming out with a book. Something Dylan something. I can't remember his name. He's funny. He's just cracking jokes all the time. Sometimes he makes things that taste good, and sometimes they're not. And it is fun. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. I can't remember his book. His book is called Baking Yesteryear, I think. Something along those, because like most of what he does is baking. So I'll have to make a note. I don't know what that is. So it is a cooking channel. Oh, okay. I didn't even realize that. All right. So yeah, so that, like I said, so there definitely are issues because it is a trigger, rightfully so. But I don't feel like if we all want to go to true history, that symbol is actually an ancient symbol of Asia of good luck. So it's actually difficult to, I remember I was traveling in Asia a long time ago, and I was, looking at this little jewelry setup. It was like on the street. It was just like a little vendor set up on the street. And they had all of these pieces of jewelry, and that symbol was on all of them. And I'm like, what? And so I was with my agent. That was for my full-time gig. And I was with my agent, and I asked, they're like, no, that symbol doesn't mean anything of what it became to mean. It's a good luck symbol. So if you actually find things prior to the 30s, they're all over the place. You'll see them with four-leaf clovers. You'll see them with horseshoes. You'll see it because it was a symbol of good luck. It just got reappropriated into something else. I didn't know his name was Patrick. So Patrick Dylan Hollis. Yes, that's the one. So absolutely hilarious. And he's what I've seen primarily are what he puts out on the TikTok. So they're like no longer than 30 seconds long, maybe like 20 seconds long. I can't remember the TikTok length. So they're super fast, but he actually shows, adding sugar, baking powder is floof powder. Like he's just got a thing. And he's he's putting out a cookbook. Yes, Katie does it, and with those Jello recipes. Yeah. So yes. Yes. So good luck. So I don't know where all it was a good luck symbol in. I just know, I think it originated in Asia, but I don't know if it was China, Japan. I'm not sure. I think I saw it on the streets of South Korea. So I think there's some semblance of it coming initially from Asia, but I do not know. Wedding announcements. Oh, interesting. Yeah, but it would be, because until the 30s, when all of a sudden it started meaning something very different. And even in the 30s, it wasn't necessarily viewed as anything negative because it was the ruling party. I mean, they did a lot of things that at no point are you going to use the adjective good. But the reason they were in power, and the reason they were in power for so long, was because they had a lot of support. And so that symbol didn't start meaning anything negative until, a decade after they started using it. So yeah. So anyway, so that menu will stay in my collection. This menu I will sell, but I couldn't pass it up because it's too cute. Even though, as we all know, I don't like kids. It's a children's menu. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have got my trigger warning. What's the fear of clowns? Sorry, people. Clowns coming. So it is a children's menu with a clown image on it. So this is a Hilton hotel menu. Once upon a time, I think it was attached into a scrapbook or something because you still have the residue at the top. I did not remove it. I bought it this way, but it does say it's a Hilton hotel on the bottom. I don't know if this had a date. I'm trying to because I can get really, really broad. So I am trying to stick with ones that are dated as opposed to just generic ones that might have been used for like a 10-year period. So this one I think had a date, but I don't remember what it was. Why would this one have a... Oh, it does have a date. Okay, so this is probably the date it was printed. It was probably used for a while, though. So it does actually say, but it's June 25th, 1956. So it's my own little mid-century modern. So 1956. Somebody did the little connect the dot. Somebody, so did that. But yeah, I do. I just think the graphics are fun. I mean, this would be something that I would see this in a frame like this, either even in a kid's room or even in the kitchen. Like if you just have the right decor, the right colors, it's just a fun piece. The inside, there's still a couple cool graphics to it. Let's see, what are they pushing on kids? Oh, it's okay. So it's a Hilton hotel, but it's the Hotel Statler in Buffalo. So I'll probably still sell this in my booth. If it doesn't sell, maybe I'll put it online and somebody from Buffalo would want to buy it. But let's see. So this is for breakfast, orange juice, stewed fruit. Okay, what child is eating stewed fruit? Poached or scrambled eggs. Okay, so we've got rich children. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. There's an ice cream on this menu. Okay, this is the entire menu, not just the breakfast menu. So there's also lunch and dinner over here. So for hearty appetites, a fresh vegetable plate with crisp bacon strips for 60 cents. A cup of soup for 15 cents. Broiled chopped sirloin patty with potato and vegetable. This is not sounding like a kid's menu. 95 cents. Creamed chicken on toast with a green vegetable. Just a green vegetable. It's like potluck, what vegetable you get. Broiled lamb chop with potato and a green vegetable. And then you get sandwiches. You can get cream cheese. I guess just cream cheese. I'm hoping it's just cream cheese because what it says is cream cheese or peanut butter and jelly. So I'm going to hope it's just cream cheese is by itself and peanut butter jelly by itself. It's not cream cheese and jelly because that would be repulsive. Sliced chicken on white bread, tuna fish salad on toast, grilled American cheese, and a hamburger on a toasted bun. The sliced chicken is more expensive than the hamburger. Interesting. Coca-Cola. They actually specify it's Coca-Cola right there. Fresh orange juice, tomato juice, hot chocolate drink. Okay, they have milk, chocolate drink, and hot chocolate. Okay, so I guess just chocolate milk. But why is it chocolate drink? Then for sweets, we have baked custard. I don't know what that is. Applesauce. I do not consider applesauce a sweet. I had that as a side for my dinner last night. Chocolate sundae, fruit jello, rice pudding, and ice cream or sherbet. So that is going to definitely be resold. And then this one is, I almost want to keep it, but I do not need to expand my definition of menus. So again, my menu collection are cruise ship menus pre-World War II. That's what I collect. Preferably pre-World War I, but those are really hard to find. So I've tried to spread out. This is just a super cool postcard menu. So first off, you have a really cool cover. You've got Alfredo's Cocktails and Restaurant. So this is a restaurant menu, not a cruise ship menu. It says right on there, it's a souvenir menu. It's got its address, 886 Broadway, but just check out the filigree design, that gold on there. And you can't really tell until I open it. It's die cut. There's a window here. So you have a die cut window for the cover, and then you have a full black and white image of the Golden Gate Bridge with Alfred's famous for good food since 1928. Exceptional picture of the San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge taken from Yerba Buena Island in the center of San Francisco Bay. This one I don't think had a date, but I didn't care because it was too pretty. Actually, it does have a date. $1963. So it does have a date. I don't think I knew that when I bought it. So it's multi-pages. So it's actually, like I said, so it's a full menu. So, oh, there's a wine list. So we're in the 60s. So a bottle of Burgundy was $2.90. Domestic cordials, they're drinks I've never even heard of. Kummel, we're just going to leave that one alone. Apricot, Curacao, Maraschino, imported cognac and rum, Remy Martin, Fernet Branca. You can kind of tell by the prices which were the most expensive. So Martel Cordon Bleu was twice the price of Bonrico rum and Remy Martin. So this is, there's a la carte menu. So there is food in here as well. Sorry, my lights are a little bright. I brought my own lighting into my hotel room. I got a weird look from the front desk. Okay, what is for dessert? Fried cream, sherbet, ice cream, and what is Zabaione? Zabaione. I do not think I know what that is. Zabaione. Is that something that still exists? Because cottage cheese still exists. Yeah, Jane Maria still eats it. I remember I went to college with a girl, but that's all she ate. She was always on a diet, and she just ate cottage cheese every day, and it was just the most disgusting thing to watch. Cream cheese and olive sandwiches. Okay, I'm not sure I liked that. Yeah, fried cream. I'm not 100% sure what that one is. So anyway, so that's that. I'm not going to keep it. I'm not branching into restaurant menus, but I'm tempted because I just love the look of that one. So my San Francisco menu. So I think that's all the menus that I picked up. This one, I'm not sure I'm going to sell. I probably will eventually sell it, but initially I actually picked it up for myself. So if you've paid attention to some of my collections, one of my newer collections is Tollware. And my biggest struggle right now is trying to determine, like, is it Tollware from the 70s, is it Tollware from the 50s, or is it actually antique Tollware? So this book was written in the 50s, I think. Yeah, 52. And so it's giving instructions. But the reason I want to look at it is because it's showing some of the designs, but then it says this is a detail from the 1845 Pennsylvania original. So it talks about what colors they were, even though it's a black and white picture, it actually says what the colors are. So I can kind of get an idea of the way some of the painting was done. I can tell the 70s and 80s stuff because my mother used to do it. So I know how to load the brush. I know how to do single stroke painting. It's called toe painting, called single stroke, whatever. There's multiple terms for it. That has a very different look. What I'm struggling with is some of the 50s pieces because they're still 75 years old. They are starting to look pretty old, but they're not the 100-year-old pieces. So, it's like, I think I have a couple 50s pieces in my collection and they'll stay in my collection for a while. But at some point, as I find better pieces, that's my method, is like a place for everything in its place. Like I'll decorate to the point where I'm happy with what I have. If then I find a really nice piece, something gets tossed. So I always will find, like, I've got an etagere that my friends even know. They're like, they watch the bottom shelf because once something goes down to the bottom shelf, that's one step away of being gotten rid of. So they're like, okay, what do we get rid of? One of my friends names the pieces, like, oh, wait, where's Martha going? So it's, I definitely don't need to keep everything. So I do want to figure this out. And there are just some really cool illustrations in here. So if I don't know if there is a resale value for something like this, but it's a nice research guide from the 50s. And I have this. That's one of the tea canisters. That's one of the designs I have. So they're saying that that's from 1840. So that's good to know. They're saying this, but I also have this shape. They're not listing the date on that one. So anyway, so I grabbed this for my own edification, but I think that'll just be interesting, fun. Okay. One of the things, I'm Trusty Huckster, and I don't tend to carry huckster-ish items but primarily it's because I don't really come across them very often. So I do really like sales catalogs and premium catalogs and things like that. Like, so that to me is kind of a cool huckster item that it's like, okay, it's just sales related. And it's this whole idea that you're collecting coupons or soup labels or whatever. And I do have a couple premium catalogs I'll show you, but I actually have one of only a handful of huckster items in the case of like snake oil salesman. And it's the most elaborate one I've ever seen. So this is Reverend Hoyman's Family Health Book. Okay, so right off the bat, it's fairly thick. Like there's a lot of pages to this. So it's like, okay, what is the Family Health Book? So on the back, what everybody should know, what everyone should know, normal temperature and fever. Normal temperature of the body. Okay, here's our little bit of trivia for the day. Evidently, back in the 20s or 30s, when this was done, people were warmer because it says the natural temperature of a body is 99.5. Okay. Low fever reaches up to 102. Medium is 104. High fever is anything over 104. Okay. Check your blood pressure. So I didn't even know when blood pressure like became a thing. So there's a little chart for your blood pressure, your average height and weight. We're going to ignore that because I don't really feel like being shamed right now. And so there's, be sure to read this letter. Like there's no letter there. Catarrh of the nose, disorders of the throat resulting from colds. It's actually very, very odd. This page is attached, and the very first page says it's page 81, because then on the back of it is the alphabetical index. So I don't know if this was assembled oddly, but the reason it is a snake oil salesman piece is because you have an entire article about nervous sufferers and everything like that. And then right opposite of it is the ad for his pills, the Neurosol pills. And then you read some more, and insomnia. It talks all about scientifically about insomnia. And then you have an ad for Insomol tablets for sleeplessness. Does it say what's in there? Because it's probably cocaine. No extra charge for packing and postage. Exact directions for use stated clearly. Nope, doesn't even say what it is. Don't ask for samples. A small trial is not sufficient to demonstrate the effectiveness of a medicine. It is therefore our principle not to send samples. Fun. I do still have my collection of chauffeur pins. So I do still have chauffeur licenses. And I have in my phone, I have every chauffeur badge that I own, so that when I'm out, I don't find them in the wild very often, but when I do, I want to make sure it's not one that I already have. So I do still have that collection, and I do change them out. I don't think I put one on. Okay, you're going to see my hair now. What do I have on this one? No, this one I have. This is one of my favorite. This is actually sterling. So I like the way that looks with the band. So this one doesn't get the chauffeur. The chauffeur badges go on my the newsy type caps. You love a challenge. You pick some interesting things that make the brain hurt. Well, yes. So this huckster thing, high blood pressure, Balusol pills. I mean, it is filled with ads for just these quack medicines. Rectalin ointments. We'll just let you guess what that one's for. Leg sores are dealt with the Petty ointment. I mean, it's just brilliantly set up, because it sits there and talks about, well, how do you know if you have legs problems, and what do leg sores look like, and all this other stuff. And then you're done reading, and you like my ex-wife, she'd always read an article and she's like, okay, I have that disease. It didn't matter how rare the disease was. My wife would finish and she'd suddenly have all those symptoms. This was made for her, because she would then read this entire article, discover that she has some weird thing, and then like, oh, look, I can just buy the Petty ointment and it will totally save me. Timamalt lozenges. Okay, that one's not obvious. That one is for throat irritation, but TYMO MALT. So I don't know what the Tymo malt. Cold for relieving the irritation of colds, inflammation of the throat and tonsils, catarrh of the throat and larynx, excess of phlegm, sore throat, hoarseness, and cough. I don't know what. I wonder what would be in there to make the TYM Tymo malt. I'm sure if I read the article, it would tell me. So we've got blood, constipation sufferers. Or what do we have for constipation sufferers? Balusol for constipation. Costiveness, cleansing the bowels. I don't know what costiveness is. I've never heard that word before. So this I will resell. I do not need any more collections. I love ephemera, and I love finding things like this. So this will fall under the category of quack oil sales stuff, and sometimes those individual ads can sell for like $5 or $10 a piece, depending on what they're promoting. This thing has at least 20 ads in it, so this will go online. Like this, I won't be able to get enough money for it in the booth. I think it will go for well online. Yeah, they're definitely no personal injury lawyers. So some of those ads can be fun. Okay, let's see. So I mentioned I've got some weird my stuff out of order here. So I do have I have a catalog. So I love picking things up like this. So this is the 1909 pocket price list of watch movements and cases. So it's this little pocket guy. It's got a cool pocket watch on the back. These are great for ephemerals, for decoration, any industrial decor. I'd hate to see it broken apart, but there are some great illustrations throughout it. And it's literally the price guide. So for the hunting or open face watches, the lever cut, railroad grade, did I say $60? Good Lord. That's a lot. In 1909? So this must be like for a case of them or something. Because that's a lot of money. So our stock always new from the factory. American Waltham Watch Company. So I don't know. Do they have multiple watch companies in here? Oh, yeah. Elgin Watch Company, which is near where I live. So it looks like, this watch movements and cases of the Benjamin Allen and Company out of Chicago. They were in the Silversmiths building on Wabash. This was to carry material. So Elgin, Lord and Lady Elgin, Waltham, railroad grade, Solar, New E. Howard watches, Keystone, Philadelphia, 10 and 5 watch cases, Crescent watch case, nickel cases, Betsy Ross watches, and Ingersoll watch. Okay, I don't know what a Betsy Ross watch is. Anyone know what a Betsy Ross watch is? Page 28, we're going to find out. The Betsy Ross watch. It's a pocket watch. For $17.70. Looks like it's got the engraving of, what is that? Christchurch, Boston? Is Betsy Ross in Boston or Philadelphia? This watch is fully guaranteed by the Keystone Watch Case Company and sold by us. 7 jeweled nickel pendant set, hardened and tempered hairspring, safety center pinion, compensation balance, small second dial. It's an O size watch. I don't know how I don't really do pocket watches, so I don't know what that means. So maybe it's just smaller. Pretty. I've never heard of it. Betsy Ross watch. So I thought that was cool. Could not pass that up. That'll go on eBay, I'm sure. It'll sell better on eBay. This was actually, these two are premium catalogs. So this one is, I've not heard of this brand, Wilson's Condensed Milk Company. So some cool graphics on here. And this is the Wilson's Premiums, Indiana Condensed Milk Company, Indianapolis, Indiana. And this one is, there, I did find there's an expiration date on something here, and I think it's 1955, if I remember correctly. Was it this one? Maybe that was the other one. No, this one I don't see. I don't see a date on this one. I'll have to look at it again. Illustration wise, see, there's some color. All the colors of the product. So peas, sugar corn, tomatoes, evaporated milk. Box number. Got the store display. So I don't know. He's wearing a hat. So maybe 40s. Check type floor, 30s or 40s. I don't know. The color I was thinking it was going to be 50s. So maybe that one's 40s. But this one then must be the one that had the date. This one I think had a date of 55 because I was thinking this was getting me into the mid-century modern. Yes, this is no orders accepted after December 1st, 1955. This is Black's Christmas Gifts. So Silent Night, Holy Night. Not the most Christmassy image on the front, but inside are all kinds of mid-century goodness. So you can buy the light switch plates, bottle opener, little umbrella toothpick holders. You could have your spoon rust rooster. Got your flatware. There's the little steel wool dispenser. I see those all the time, and I did not know they were for steel wool. I see them pitched for like tea bags and things like that. So that was a steel wool dispenser. Match bar and key keeper. So that's just one page. And it's just filled with, I think we've all seen that hand smoking the cigarette, the ashtray, lady fingers ashtray. Silver cocktail picks. Long-winded commercials. If so, attach blab off to your TV. Merely by flicking a switch to your easy chair, you can cut all the gab without cutting off the picture. Pardon me. So it basically mutes your TV. Okay. So I just thought that was fun. Scrappy, the musical poodle dog, who had a Scrappy growing up. Circus Dabbles, a little electric locomotive. So just all, thank you, Jean Marie. Cyber long distance Gesundheits. This is the Christmas guide. So there's actually Christmas decor in here. So Christmas foam mat, advent calendar, $1 advent calendar, wrought iron reindeer with sleigh, accordion fold cutouts from Sweden, candle holders. I think I've seen those candle holders, salt and pepper shakers, the Christmas candle salt and pepper shakers, spicy color add-on color kits. So I just think this is just capturing a fun era. People love mid-century modern. It'd be nice if the illustrations were in color. They're all in black and white, unfortunately, but it's definitely it's a time capsule, and that's what I think is cool about so much ephemera. And the older the better. So Heather Elizabeth's going to stocking up on the cocktail picks, absolutely. So yeah, it said steel wool pads, so I'm assuming it's like those little Brillo pads. So $60 was almost $2,000. Wow. Yeah, so it had to have been purchasing like a case lot or something like that. There's probably something in the front of it that explains what all that. And that's what I think too. I mean, I think that it's just kind of a cool looking piece, but that'll probably end up on eBay because I do think there's some, like, all about reselling or selling in general. It's all about finding those crossover collectibles that, some people will like it because it's old ephemera, but now it's also going to be attracted to people like that, like reselling, like like salespeople that like catalogs type stuff, but then the specific one saying, oh, I love watches. Here's something that talks about my watch. I mean, if you have a lady, what a Betsy Ross watch, wouldn't you want to have the little booklet that you could like have on display behind it? So very, very, very fun. So this one I need to do a little bit of searching on, but this is probably post World War II. So again, I wouldn't put this into mid-century modern, but this is getting into another like huckster type thing, because what this is, well, first of all, what it is the pocket square. So the idea behind it is you could have your suit coat and you trim that piece of paper down to size so that you just have your little handkerchief sticking up. And so this is the patriotic one. So freedom isn't free. So you've got the Iwo Jima image, not the statue, the image. Got to pay the price. You got to sacrifice for your liberty. So, very nice Americana piece. But what this is it's a huckster piece because it's the sales brochure. So this is, if you want to get this for your store, for your dry cleaner, for your whatever, you could buy 500 of these for $25 and you would get your name imprinted on that piece. So it is a salesman sample, effectively. So I don't know how these would have been distributed, if these would have been mailed. I mean, it would have fit in an envelope. I did look as quickly as I could. The manufacturer is on here, Old Hickory Manufacturing. I did do a little searching while I was at the store, and I didn't find this one. I found others that were just like regular silk, different colors. They weren't selling for all that much. This one I think is a little bit more special. And the fact that this is the salesman piece, the other one was the actual piece you would get as a customer. So the fact that this is a huckster piece, I couldn't pass it up. So I paid up a little bit for this one, so hopefully I'll be able to recoup my money, but it was too fun. It was too fun to pass up. I'm listening to a podcast about reselling. Like, okay, novice resellers get in the problem all the time. You find something that you think is cool, so you just buy it. I'm like, guilty. Let's see. What else did I buy because I thought it was cool? Here's one, because I'm sure there's probably no market for this at all. But my first love, like everything that I love about historic reselling, anything that nobody wants to buy, is porcelain. I absolutely love antique porcelain. One of my fastest growing not anymore, but one of my fastest growing collections has been my Austrian porcelain collection. This is the Beginner in China Painting. It's literally a guidebook for the little ladies, that primarily ladies, I don't know if men might have done it, but that did this in their home. So it's literally what you have to do to become a China painter. I will do a quick side statement. So I got this book, and then I went to the store where I got that trunk that I started off the show with. While I was at that store, they were talking about another art movement, and I'm gonna have to look the name of it up because I can't remember now. But I took some video of it. She told me some information on it, and she said, "Oh," I said, "Well, was that a studio? Was that a company?" Like it was something I wasn't familiar with. So like, no, it's a movement. And she said women in their 1880s would carve their own wood. Like, step back. I'm sorry, they did what? It's like, yeah, they were wood carvers. They would sit in their parlors, just like the China painters. They would sit with a tablet of wood on their lap and carve flowers. Like, you got to be kidding me. And so she showed me a couple pieces, and she said that there was like a couple pieces that were very, very well done, like super well carved, like depth, like there were leaves and they were carving behind the leaf, so the leaf had like some movement. It was amazing. And she's like, well, those were like the master carpenters and the masters of this. She's like, then there's these other pieces that were considered studio or student pieces. And she said those were the ones that were done at home. So so she showed me one, and to me it looked like, I have a press back rocking chair. And to me, it looked like it was press backed. Like, it just looked like it was something that was heat steamed and the design was pressed into it, because there was like very little depth to the carving at all. And she said it's because it was a woman doing this with a very delicate, set of tools as her parlor activity. I'm like, where would like the sawdust go? Like, that to me seems like an insane project if you're sitting on a wool carpet. Like, this sounds insane. She's like, nope, it was like a big thing. And so she's like, but that's how you tell the difference. You know, that the really well done pieces were, there's only a handful. She said, again, I took some notes. There's only a couple names that were really well known, and they were the ones teaching everybody else. And then the ladies would teach their friends. And it was never designed for resale. It was always just something you did, kind of like the China painting. You just did, and then you put it on display. Fantastic. So anyway, this is a book on China painting. So this is The Beginner in China Painting. Contains all instructions in the different branches of China painting. And there's some parts of it that I think it was not written by somebody that had English as their first language. And I also don't know how useful it was, because I'm sorry, that's your instruction on how to paint a rose. That's not going to be enough for me to paint a rose. That's just not going to do it. So first, size and shape. Second, main shadows. Third, finished shadows. I'm sorry, I need more steps. So whatever, this book, I don't know how useful it was at the time. How to paint violets, just as useful. Got 3 steps. Draw it, shade it some more. Done. But talk about gold work, color tinting, firing the china, which I never really had considered that. Somebody had to fire it, so I don't know where you took it to get fired. Enameling, matte colors, and then, okay, don'ts in China painting. Do not have your colors mixed to liquid. This is where, like, this English as a secondary language seems to be coming into play. Do not have your colors mixed to liquid, as they work oily and gather dust. Is that supposed to be a helpful sentence? So it was an inexpensive piece. I couldn't pass it up. So I added it. And I missed a couple of people coming in. So hello. Yes, they do have podcasts for everything. I listen to a wide variety, and I don't get to listen to them very often because I don't travel as much as I used to. But I've been in the car in 2 days. I've been in the car for 9 hours. So I've had a lot of time to listen. So, and I mix it up. So I have some antiques podcasts. I have some reselling podcasts. I listened to an entire podcast about grading like baseball cards. Okay. I've never touched a baseball card, like except by accident. Like this is not a skill set I need to have, but it was still an interesting podcast. Yes. So there are podcasts for everything. And hello. Okay. I think I did get caught up. I think so. So anyway, this will probably end up like an ephemera sale for, this will be like a $5 ephemera sale or something, because it's easy enough to ship. It's lightweight, and it's just kind of interesting. And if you collect hand painted china, there is some cool stuff in there. And again, if you missed the very beginning, this is not a sale. I'm not selling any of this stuff here tonight. This is just like a whole video and kind of a chat. But if you like anything you see, just send me an email and we can probably work something out, because with very few exceptions, all of the ephemera, well, except for that one menu in the trunk, all of it's going to be resold at some point. So if you're interested, let me know. Who are my boat lovers? This one I bought entirely because of the graphics. So outboard handling. I don't know anybody who owns a boat, but I'm sure a lot of people do. This one didn't have a specific date on it, but it has a 1-digit zip code. So it's from between World War II and 1963. And based on the illustrations, I would say we're in the 50s, 60s. Like, look at that car. And there are illustrations throughout this whole thing. And it's a serious book. Like, it actually talks about how to turn your boat around, the OBC engineering program. Okay, I don't even know what that means. But there's follow these steps while fueling. A lovely picture of a Viking. So in case you have a Viking ship, you know what to do. How this area can be called the danger zone. So it talks about turning your boat. So it's actually a serious thing. It was put out by the OBC, stands for something. Wait a minute. Outboard Boating Club of America. The OBC is the Outboard Boating Club of America, supported by thousands of outboard owners and leading outboard boat, motor, trailer, and accessory manufacturers. OBC exists for one purpose: to help more people find enjoyment on the water through outboarding. Okay, so I guess I didn't realize that you got it. I guess that makes sense. So this is specifically dealing with boats that have an outboard motor. as opposed to like yachts and sailboats. But yeah, just like, again, I always will sell ephemera hoping that it will be retained as it's, because this is all in great condition. Like the spine's still there, it's pretty good shape. But there's some pretty cool illustrations in here that I could see this absolutely being cut apart for junk journaling or framing these. You don't even have to have a boat to think that that's a cool picture. Put that in a little postcard frame. Like, I hate to see it cut apart, but sometimes that's, breaking into its pieces and what gives it a longer life, because I saved this from going to a landfill. Hopefully the next person will give it some sort of a life too. Let's see. Friendship in a Cup. This one I bought for the illustrations. So you've got the lovely lady holding the tiniest teacup ever. And this one is the talking about coffee. Choose your method, then always follow it with the utmost care. I actually learned something in this. It says that you should use the smallest coffee pot possible because a coffee pot works best when it is at full capacity. So you are supposed to choose your coffee maker for the amount of coffee you regularly make. Coffee makers operate best at or near full capacity. So don't expect perfect coffee flavor if you make only 2 or 3 cups in a 6 to 8 cup coffee pot. Never use a badly worn coffee maker or flavor will be affected. So all kinds of do's and don'ts in here, again, with a great illustration. Again, this will probably just end up in one of my $5 ephemera, either drop sale or live sale, but there's actually some recipes in there. Coffee icebox cake. I don't remember if this one had a year on it. It does. 1941. So 1941. It wasn't until after the war we decided we needed more caffeine. I like this one a lot. So this, I don't know, this might fall in Huckster world, but this just to me was fun. So this is a Purina dog chow kibbled advertising piece. It is a notebook. It is the Field Trial Judges book. Compliments of Purina dog chow. And it literally gives you places to keep track of the name of the dog, the brace, like bracket. Like this is to keep track of a competition, a bracket style competition where dogs are going head to head. So it says field trial. So I don't know if that's like what do you call it when they're like running through tunnels and stuff? Agility. I don't know if that's like an agility thing or if a field trial is like, I've heard of like they'll use the urine soaked rag instead of a fox to, for fox hunting. I don't know if that's like, maybe it's more of a hunting trial. So I don't know what you're actually keeping track of, but there's some pretty decent open space here. You could use this as a notebook for anything, but if you have a hunting dog, like this to me would just be like a great gift. And it's in pretty cool shape. I don't know the age of this. I'm thinking like 60s, maybe going even into the 70s, but based on some of the illustrations, like, I don't know, 50s, 60s. I just thought it was cool and got a good price on it and did want to pass that up. All right. Who's fast in the Google? Because I did not look this one up. So this is a Kraft casserole cookery with cheese. And from a glance, I would have said that this is like from the 30s to the 40s. However, it's advertising Velveeta. When was Velveeta invented? I thought Velveeta was a relatively new thing, like not new, but like 60s, 70s. Like I grew up with it. And the only thing that would justify its existence is that it was new. This one has the world's finest cheeses are made or imported by Kraft. So it's like a little brochure. And it's got recipes, Spanish limas. I'm assuming those are beans. But it's primarily, like when you fold it all up, the primary ad is for Velveeta. I don't know when Velveeta was started, so I don't exactly know what the era of this is, but I don't think this is from the 60s. So I do think this is older. So got to do a little bit of research on the age of Velveeta. We got that. This I picked up. This is kind of like, I figured it was inexpensive enough that it was worth a shot. I just sold. If you follow me on Instagram, I posted probably about 2 weeks ago. I posted a mixed lot of Disneyland ephemera, and it was a 1964 map of the park, which was in full color. Another map that was just in pink and black. A old Disneyland parking stub, and two like old ticket books, but all the tickets have been taken out of it, so it just had the back cover on there. I want to say there's one other. Oh, and an ad for a jazz festival, I think that was there. So it was just like a mixed lot. It ended up selling for $65. So I was a little surprised. Like I figured it'd do well, but did a lot better than I thought it would. And I'm not sure what was attractive about it, except that it was vintage Disney. So I picked this one up too. So this is Disneyland Records, Life of the Party. It's a sing-along, Life of the Party. Oh, good Lord, you're kidding. All right, so Heather Elizabeth came in first. That said it was invented in 1918. The Velveeta was incorporated as a separate company. Everyone raced in. So Chad also came with 1918, and Maria came up with 1918. That's nuts. I had no idea that it's been around for that long. So anyway, so this is not really a Disney park piece. Like it was a brochure that was included in Disney Records, but it does have some graphics on the back. Pinocchio and Song of the South. Okay, well, that's troublesome. Tinkerbell on the front. And then on the inside is the lyrics to the songs that would have been probably on, I'm assuming, on the records, because it says side two, band 4, band 4D, band 5. So I don't have the record. I don't know if there's any value to this as its own, but I think if you're a Disney or Disneyland collector, I just think this is, got the little Tinkerbell with the logo on there. I just think that's a cute piece. So hopefully I'll be able to sell it. You got any Floridians in the house tonight? Picked this up again, kind of on the fly. It's St. Augustine, Florida, the Fountain of Youth. So it is from, I did do a little Google on this. It's from the 50s, not particularly rare, but they do sell. Like they're not going to sell for big bucks, but like they were selling for around $10. Graphics kind of cool. And then it's got some images inside of St. Augustine, Florida. So, kind of a little memory lane of Florida. I thought that would be a fun one. Some children's pieces. This one, unfortunately, when I picked it up, I thought it was the December issue. It's actually the January issue. But she's holding a card that says Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from Playmate. What I find is for a lot of the magazines, particularly like the kids magazines, they sell really well if they do Christmas stuff, because people then put them out as part of their Christmas decor, and then they can put them away. So even though it's January, I still think that would fall into Christmas, but it's a snowman. So it could be, hey, Sandra, no worries. It could be, it could stay out all winter. But I still thought this was kind of cool. And it has, stories. It's like, this was around for many years. This is January 1945. So, we're still in World War II. This one is the November issue. And hopefully not the best, but it is November, so we are celebrating Thanksgiving, and we do so in the traditional old-fashioned Pilgrim and Native American appearances. But then on the back is a great Santa image. This is again from 1944 to order Christmas card blanks. So there's just some great graphics in here, some toys. Just check that out. And just some beautiful full color artwork from which, unfortunately, that page just fell out. So that's not good. So it's evidently I'm missing a couple of pages, because it goes from page 24 to 29, and this is page 27 and 28. So I'm missing a couple of pages. I didn't realize that. But I still think with some of the illustrations that this is just, hey, Angela, it's just a cool piece. And I didn't get these as dirt cheap as everything else, but I think that these will still resell fairly nicely. 40s gets into the borderline of what I like to do, but I like those graphics, and I do think they do well. I like stuff like this better, because now we're getting in 1935. Like I get before World War II, maybe before World War I's even better, but for something like this is in phenomenal shape for something from March of 1945. 1935. And again, I'd rather it be like a Christmas theme. So it's March, but you still have ice skaters. So it's still something people could put this out at Christmas time because it's a wintry scene. So you still have that. So this is We Wisdom Gains a Friend. So the back ad is the Unity School of Christianity in Kansas City, Missouri. So I don't know if that's where this was originated. I don't know. Yes, it was published in Kansas City, Missouri. But just check out like a full page illustration with that poem. Like, again, I don't like to sell ephemera to the sense of like, oh, it's going to get destroyed. But like this can have another life. You mat and frame that. That is an absolutely gorgeous piece that you just say comes from a 1935 magazine. There's Rags the Rover. So there's stories with black and white illustrations. Let's see what else I have in color. We Wisdom Writers Guild. So there's poetry. The Queen Had No Umbrella. So it's black and white, but check out that illustration. And so there's just some cool, all of these children's magazines just had some cool stuff in them. Signs of Spring. So there's even, kind of a cool letter from the editor in the back, but just check out that border. And you figure like all this stuff would be out of copyright by now, 1935. Muggs Makes a Friend. You get a full page black and white ad of a dog. Oh, Angela, I didn't know your power was out. I guess I mentioned, so I left yesterday and I'm sitting there like religiously watching the Weather Channel app, trying to find a gap to make sure I can get out of town. So I'm like, I'm about probably 20 miles south of Angela, but that's really all that was needed for that storm, because that storm that hit Wisconsin and Minnesota, they just got tons of snow. It then, like around the Wisconsin border, started becoming ice. And then I think it's probably still ice if you lost your power. So it's still ice around Angela. I was like right on the cusp of where that ice turned into rain. So I basically was sitting there watching what the forecast was. And like every hour, it would just like wrap around where I lived and it hit. I'm like, oh, okay, well, wait a little bit later. So I made sure I left during the daylight hours. It rained the entire drive, but I never had snow. So, and then by the time I got to where I was going, it was 66 degrees. So I'm like, okay, that's quite a change. So anyway, sorry, but I'm glad you have your power back. So We Wisdom, another children's, so I'll put that. Another children's, I've only got a couple things that I've left I'm going to show. Really big, this is the December issue. So this one's going to be a pain to ship because I think this is bigger than a Life magazine. I'm hoping it's not, because I have stuff to ship Life magazines. I think this is bigger, so that I'll have to figure it out. But it's children's activities, and just check out the back. Like, we had a kid drawing on a magic slate blackboard, drawing a Santa Claus. I mean, how cool is that ad? And then inside, you've got special Christmas order blank. And then underneath it is a full page coloring book of squirrels decorating a Christmas tree with acorns. How freaking cute is that? You've got a calendar on it. I don't know what year that would match up to, because this is from 1948. So it's that. There's the first Christmas poem with a great illustration opposite of that. So there's like just some great, again, I hate to see that these get cut apart, but they're going to, because the art in here is just fantastic. I mean, just the bottom of this art of this story, check that Santa Claus with the kids in the classroom. I mean, that's just an awesome illustration. Would look great in like a little postcard sized frame. Little cute illustrations for all these little anecdotes and stories. The Doings of Daffy and Dandy. So you've got a full page comic strip. So you can even frame stuff like that. A full page comic strip of our 28th president, Woodrow Wilson. I don't know why you would want a full page comic strip of Woodrow Wilson, but hey, why not? Here and there. So there's all kinds of stories. Christmas carolers, so you can make your own little diorama. fun in the kitchen. We got even little illustrations with all of the recipes. So again, I just think this might be a pain to ship, but I got really dark there for a second. White balance, come back. So I thought that I couldn't pass that up. This I specifically picked up for a friend, but I'll show you, because he was born in 1965 and he likes to collect things from 1965. And I just thought this was like a cool little calendar insert. So showing all the different birth dates of different people, and the whole calendar is here. All 12 months are in here. So I just thought that was kind of fun. And it was like $1 or $2, like it was nothing. So I thought that would be fun. He's the one that names my collections before I give them away. And then I showed this on eBay too, or not on eBay, on Instagram, because this will probably end up on eBay, but I need to do some more research. So I've never heard of these. Red, white, and blue Stickum cutouts from Platt and Monk. Okay, everyone, pop quiz. Figure out your Roman numerals, MCM, XLI. So MCM is 1900, XL is 40, and I is 1. So this is 1941. It is a collection of books. They're sticker books. Never used sticker books. Unfortunately, the box is supposed to hold 6. It only has 5, so that stinks. But so here's one of them. American Pioneers. So the first person is the Pilgrim Father. So what you have is a little, I don't know what you would call that, but like a little drawing of the shape of the pilgrim silhouette. And then opposite of it are all of the stickers that you glue into the book. They're all here. They're not, I say stickers, but it's like a weird kind of paper. So I think that this is probably some sort of an adhesive glue, which I don't know if it would still work after this many years. But they're all here. So there's the Pilgrim Father, there's the Pilgrim Mother. Let's find another one here. The Minuteman. So you've got the illustration for the Minuteman, and then you've got all of the pre-cut shapes opposite. And I say pre-cut, they're pre-silhouetted. You have to cut them out, and then I guess like wet the back or something. William Clark, I don't even know who that is. Is that like Lewis and Clark? Why is he one of the American pioneers? By 1941, did we not have enough famous people that were like pulling William Clark? Buffalo Bill Cody. Okay, Buffalo Bill Cody's in here. So that's the American pioneers. We have airplanes and ships. Famous Americans. And so we didn't get too cocky. Famous presidents. We had to put them in their separate book. And then my favorite, historic landmarks. And so in this one, we've got the Lincoln Memorial. Come on. With the Lincoln Memorial, and then all of the pieces to the Lincoln Memorial, all right there. So I don't know what this is going to sell for. I don't think I found any online, so I need to do a little more research. It's still got the box. It is missing, so it says 6 books in this box. Unfortunately, there's only 5. What I don't know is what's missing, because the box does not say what it contains. There's some images along the side, but like nothing that makes it obvious of what I'm missing. Like maybe the wagon, like I don't know if that was like another type of transportation, because I just have the airplanes and ships. Like maybe there's another one. So anyway, the lid has one split to it, and the box has, the bottom of the box has been split out. But the value, I think, is in those books. I mean, the fact that they are basically new old stock books, that none of those pictures have been done, none of those stickers or whatever they would be considered have been taken out. They're in fantastic shape. So, and they would make for a great, like people decorate for 4th of July, those make a great backdrop, just the books themselves. And then the box, pretty cool, 1940s font, it makes a pretty cool piece. So yeah, I did. I feel like I hit the mother lode of a lot of things. That is probably the thing. I did pay up for it, but that I have a feeling is maybe the one thing that might make me the most money. Because I just don't think there's a lot of them out there. So like, I'm probably going to start it on an auction. on eBay and just see where it goes. My problem with eBay in general and auctions in particular, I don't have that big of a following on eBay yet. I'm super excited. I'm up to 50 items. And I was talking to another reseller and we were talking and he's like, oh, got to list at least 10 a day. And I'm like, literally lucky to list one a day. And he's like, oh, you got to do 10 a day. And he's like, I'm up to 3,600. And I was talking to somebody else, they're up to 7,000. I'm like, I can't do that. Like I do have a full-time job. So I have to figure out how to make this side hustle work. And so sometimes, I've had some successful auctions that things go for nice dollar amounts, but it's just people have to find it in order for it to like really go crazy. So I'll definitely remake my money. Hopefully I'll make some more. And everything else, I'm pretty sure I'm going to make money on everything. But we'll see, what, exactly. 10 a day. And I was listening to one of those podcasts that they said that the algorithm actually maximizes between 18 and 25. If you do higher than 25, it actually starts hurting you because then it feels like you're not, I don't know, an algorithm doesn't feel, but there's something about if you start doing more than 25, it starts questioning the quality of your listings that you're doing them too quickly. And so it's going to assume that, and a lot of times you do. I buy stuff on eBay all the time and I look at the description and the description is simply the title. Like they didn't actually do anything to augment the listing. There's nothing wrong with that, but depending on what you're selling, you kind of need to use that. You have 5,000 characters, use them because that's what's going to help people make the decision to buy. If you're cranking out 25, 30 a day, you're selling probably 10 to 15 to 20 a day, maybe even more, but your figure is probably selling that money. So you've got to find time to ship all of the stuff that you sold and find time to list all this other stuff. No, can't do it. So my goal at this point is to list one a day. I am not doing that, but I am averaging one a day. So like sometimes what I'll do is I will post like 2 or 3 or 4 in a day. And I don't purposely then give myself like breathing room later, but I kind of know if I don't get to post tomorrow, I have a couple extra. And then my goal, like the net goal ends up being, I'm hoping to sell one a day. And I had to put my store on vacation mode because I'm out of town until March 5th. So you can still shop on my store, but I can't ship anything. So I'm probably going to ruin that, the average. But up until the time I did that, which I did on the 21st, I had 21 sales for the month of February. So I was averaging one a day. So I was super, super excited by that. The best I've ever done. I know for like major resellers, that's nothing. But for me, that's a big deal because eBay I'd always been an Etsy person. And then Etsy just started like nickeling and diming me with fees. And I got really frustrated with it. And so then I wasn't doing anything. So I started eBay, and then I have noticed that even just averaging one a day, I have seen more action and more traction on my channel or on my eBay store. So it's like, maybe if I can get up to 10, yes, I'll see even more, but I can't ship 10 items a day. So I was like, I have to find that happy medium. But that's the one thing with going into, ephemera, something like this ships really easy. So even though it may only sell for, $10, including shipping, I'm shoving it in an envelope, putting a stamp on it, and I'm done. Where what I started with and what I like to, and I do still like to sell it, but when I sell glass or when I sell porcelain, I now have to package that stuff up. I'm using big bucks in shipping materials. I've got to find the time to do that. It's harder to estimate. Like if actually, I don't think I bought anything other than paper on this trip so far. But if I say I were to purchase a Fenton glass rose bowl, okay, well, I wouldn't be able to list it until I got home because I have no idea what that weighs. I don't know what it's going to weigh once I put it in a box. I don't know how much the shipping material is going to cost. So I can't even estimate it without running the risk of like way over padding the price, in which case then people get scared off or losing money. End up losing money. And as it is, if for anyone who's not selling on eBay, this is a change they made last year. When you do promoted listings, which until I started doing promoted listings, I wasn't selling squat on eBay. So doing the promoted listings did make a difference. But it used to be if you like paid a 5% premium to get promoted listings and sold something for $10 and shipped it for $5, it would do the promoted listing. That 5% that you put into the ad fee would only come off the $10. Now it comes off of the combined total, including tax. So if I sell it for 10, charge $5 for shipping, and it collects $1.76 for tax, I will pay a 5% advertising fee on the $17.76, which is insane. So when people, if you're a buyer, if you're not a reseller and you're a buyer, and you're looking at someone and you're like, oh, I really want to negotiate on it or do a best offer, keep stuff like that in mind, because we end up paying fees on the shipping on top of everything. And that explained, I was listening to a podcast today that actually said this, so you'll still see this. It's something I used to see all the time. Like, you'll see something for like $2.99, but then the shipping is $35. And it's like, wait a minute, that it fits in an envelope. How are you possibly shipping that to me for $35? Well, because the fees didn't used to apply to shipping. So instead of charging you $35 and $2.99 to ship it, they'll charge you $2.99 and charge you $35 to ship it. And then eBay would only take their fee off the $2.99. So because people were screwing up the system, eBay cracked down. And so now you're paying the fee against the $37.99 plus tax. So when there's really little margin, I've had people, I had one person making an offer on a 2-gallon oil can. And they said they gave me an offer on the price of the can, which was reasonable. It was a little bit lower than I wanted, but I had it listed for a while. But then they said, and $5 shipping. I'm like, dude, I can't ship this across the street for $5. And they wanted me to ship it to like Washington State. I'm like, no, like that, I would literally lose money. I could like lose totally, because not even talking about the cost, like it would have cost me $15, $20 to ship the dang thing. And they're saying like, no, it's too much. You're asking too much to ship it. And my response was, then find one closer. And then I just deleted the offers, because shipping is shipping. Like, we don't make money on shipping. And if we don't pay attention, we can lose money on shipping. So I don't know why that turned into a public service announcement, but hey, keep that in mind for people that don't sell. So people don't think about that stuff like that. So yeah. So so McDonald's. And I'll be perfectly honest. I've been trying to find not necessarily a niche, but like, I love porcelain and I love glass. And what I've discovered at the shop, well, first of all, again, it was getting difficult to ship during the pandemic. Like, I would, if people have ordered that stuff from me, I pack it within an inch of its life, and things were still getting broken. Like, it was, and UPS US Postal Service got really, really nuts about reimbursing, even though if I had insurance, it got like, you had to prove it. And then suddenly the buyer had to take pieces to this post office, like pictures weren't enough. It was like, it got really bad. So I wasn't really doing as much of that. And I started on Etsy because I felt like I was getting better prices. So I agree with you, Heather Elizabeth. But because of what I was doing on Etsy, it's the same thing. If I didn't do promoted listings, I got to a point where I had no activity in my store. And then every 4 months I was being charged the listing fee again, even though something hadn't sold. And I had stuff that had been in my store for 2 or 3 years. I'm like, good Lord, what I paid in listing fees every 4 months is more than I paid for the item. Like, it just got to a point where I didn't feel like I was making enough profit out of Etsy to make up for the additional costs and the hassle. So I really fought doing eBay. And so when I started doing eBay, I still was struggling, had, still dealing with glass and porcelain. That's what I had a lot of. Started putting that in an antique booth, and it does not sell at all. Like, I have fantastic prices on all of my glass and all of my porcelain. I think I've sold, like, in 6 months, I've sold like 2 pieces. Like, that is just not what the market wants. So I'm like, okay, like, what else do I like? And I started doing these $5 ephemera sales for Instagram, and sometimes putting them onto eBay. And I realized that, again, with eBay, as long as I had, like, I get I don't know what they're called. I want to call them flat fold, but that's not what they are. Like, flat, they're like the photo envelopes, like the really rigid photo envelopes. So I now have those in 3 different sizes. The biggest ones hold the Life magazines. The middle ones hold like 9x12, so they hold most regular magazines. And I also have like a 4x6 size. As long as my ephemera fits in one of those, it is super simple. I just discovered this thing on eBay called eBay envelope or something like that. So I need to do a little bit more research on that. So that I might change the way I'm doing it. But a lot of times I'll just put a postage stamp on it, but then you can't track it. So this eBay postage or eBay envelope thing, I guess, can still be tracked. So I got to look into that. But I could suddenly make, like, I sold a menu. Like, so menus are something that I wanted to kind of get into, trying to figure it out. Sold a menu. It was from a 1917 coal mining company banquet. Like, that's what it was. It was from 1917. The front had an American eagle on it and bunting and flags. It was 1917, so it was like still during World War One. But the dinner didn't seem to have anything to do with the war. It said it was the second annual banquet, and it was hosted by Carbon Coal Company or something like that. Carbon Hill Coal Company. I can't remember the exact name. Anyway, it just looked really cool. There was a little bit of foxing to it, but it wasn't torn. The edges and corners were all still in good shape. There's some discoloration. And it sold within 2 hours for $35. And I put it in an envelope and I was done. And I'm like, okay, I need to do more of that. And when I would do the $5 ephemera sales, I would get comments from the other resellers that, like, a lot of them are the drop sales that I do with Beth from Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties. And like, I would get comments like, oh my God, you have such great ephemera. You have such a unique, you always find the best ephemera. And it's like, I do own that. Okay. That actually sounded cocky. That's not the way I meant it. I spend time finding ephemera. I remember I went shopping one time with Catherine from Cat Young Creates. I happened to be traveling up in Minnesota on a business trip, and I knew that's where she was. So we actually went shopping together, and she took me to a couple of her favorite places, and it was like no big risk because I'm only there, this one time. And we went going to this one, it was like a traditional antique mall. And there was one booth that was just ephemera. And all of their ephemera were in copy boxes, just with paper in like Mylar folders. She shopped the entire mall. I never left that booth. I'm not kidding. Like, we shopped a couple things until I found it. And then I spent an hour and a half just in one booth. And she saw what I bought. She's like, you are kidding me. She's like, I walk by this booth all the time, never had any clue that I had some of the coolest stuff came out of that. And it was because I was willing to dig for it. And that's not normally something I do. Like, I don't like to get myself dirty type thing, that kind of thing. I was in heaven because some of the prices were good. Some of them were great. And some of it was so good for what it was, like pristine condition magazines from 1890. Like, they were just amazing pieces, but they were just buried underneath old napkins and old ink blotters and stuff like that, and if you don't focus on ephemera, you don't see it. And somebody actually just commented on one of my last videos and said, you make me want to spend more time looking at ephemera, because it's cool. And I usually try and pick it up at an inexpensive price. That, yeah, it's a $5 ephemera sale. It's a gimmick. Like, I can, cover, I think I had 24 items in my last sale. I think I ended up selling all but like 5 or 6 of them, which is good, but it's like, but at $5 a pop. So like, I still didn't make tons of money, but shipping, it was like invoicing was like this, then people paid and I was shipping it out. I'm like, done. Like, this is so easy. And I enjoy. So this, I went to 3 locations today. Well, yeah, 3 locations today. One was a traditional antique store, and that's where the bulk of this stuff came from. Most of what I just showed you came from there. And it was like literally from 3 or 4 booths that primarily had ephemera. A couple others where they had a section. Sometimes the places that have it as a section, that's worse, because they have an artificial inflation of what they think something's worth. So if like you see an entire display of kitchenware and then you have a rack of postcards, they want like $5 or $6 a postcard because they think postcards are so valuable. If you go to an all ephemera booth, the postcards are going to be like $1 or $2 because they're trying to sell 500 of them, and they don't have the luxury of trying to get $5 or $6. Like, the really special ones will get that, but run of the mill stuff doesn't generate that kind of doesn't generate that kind of interest. So so that from there, and then I did buy something at the really high end place. That's the trunk that I started showing you at the beginning of today's video. I'll do a video on that later. And then I went to an estate sale, and I actually forgot to bring any of that stuff in. So I'll do that at another. Everything except for the trunk that I bought today. And one thing from the estate sale, it was all paper, because I'm sitting here going, this will resell and it'll be easy to ship. And that's kind of what's taken over my separation between my booth. Like, for those of you who do both resell, I think Chad, does both reselling on eBay and has a booth. Like, I always had this, like, I've had a booth off and on now for a couple of years, and it was always this identity crisis. Like, what did I sell on YouTube versus what did I sell in the booth versus what did I sell on Etsy or versus eBay? And now it's like, if it's going to be a pain in the butt to ship, it's going into my booth. If it's easy to ship, it's going into eBay. And that is like that's the fork of the road for me right now. I'm keeping it super simple, and it's made me more motivated to list on eBay, because also paper is very easy to photograph. Photographing porcelain and glass is a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And I do still have stuff that I'm selling, and it's every time I'm like, why am I not just listing a postcard? And it's because the postcard's only going to make me a couple of bucks. The Francoma teapot's going to make me $40. Like, okay, you need to make the bigger bucks somewhere. But when I sell that Francoma teapot, it's also going to take me a lot more shipping material. It's going to take me a lot more time. And every picture has a frickin' glare, because there's no way to do it. Like, oh, take pictures in natural light. Like, I still have a window. There's still a reflection. Like, there's no way to do a high gloss glaze photograph without having some sort of reflection. It's a freaking pain. Where taking a picture of a flat box, you can get a glare, but it's pretty easy to avoid, and makes it so much better. Yes, and I do all of my shipping in plastic bags. Oh, the outer part is the paper envelope, but I make sure. And I also changed. I was doing just sleeves, and then I started doing the actual zip top ones, so that there was a little bit more protection for that very reason. Because I've received postcards, I received ephemera in the mail that ends up getting waterlogged, and not cool. So let's see, Heather, I always set my listings to manual renew. And I didn't used to do that. I used to just do automatic renew, because I'm like, oh, it'll sell in 4 months. I don't need to worry about it. No, it didn't. And then it would just, of course, charge me the extra listing fee. And in some cases, I'd go back and look like, oh God, those pictures are horrible. No wonder it hasn't sold. Like, Etsy was the first thing I started with. And I remember several people were like, why are you doing Etsy? Etsy's so much harder, because you have to do all the keyword searches. But I was getting higher prices on Etsy because I was doing more fine collectible stuff. And eBay just has a bigger, I got a bigger audience, but it also has more competition. So that was the other thing. Like, I used to, when I would sell what I would sell on YouTube, be like, okay, I could sell this on eBay, because whether I sell it on eBay or sell it on YouTube, I have to ship it. But if it's on eBay, I'd look, it's like, okay, well, there's 25 others listed. So mine's just going to get lost, because I don't have a big enough following, and I'm not going to pay the highest, performance fee. So it's like, I would be like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to sell it for a little bit less on YouTube, and, be done. And then now, like, that $35 menu, to be perfectly honest, I put it at 35 with offers of accepting offers, hoping I'd be able to get 25 out of it. And it sold within a couple of hours for the full 35. I'm like, okay, I guess it was worth more. But there was nothing in it that gave me any evidence that it was worth more. Like, it was cool. I really liked it. And that's why I felt it was at least worth the 25. So I started at 35. But like, the company doesn't exist anymore. Like, there was anything special about it. It just looked cool. And it happened to go to someone. The mining company was based in Washington State, and it actually happened to go to someone in Washington State. So it was probably more of a purchase because it was maybe her hometown or something like that, which you never can judge, that. But there were no comps. Like, there was no way of finding anything that was exactly like it, which is sometimes fun. Like, I love finding the unique stuff. Like right now, I couldn't find this. So I'm encouraged. Like, I'm assuming that means there aren't a lot of these out there, or any out there. I have a WorthPoint subscription, and WorthPoint goes back 10 years. When you get into ephemera, WorthPoint's a little bit, I don't know why, but WorthPoint doesn't seem to do as well on finding ephemera. But couldn't find it. I found some things in this name, this Platt and Monk, a pretty unique name, so that helps. So I found other things, but not this, you know, right before World War One or World War II started. Like again, this is copyrighted in 1941. So this probably was designed in 1940 or early 41. We didn't enter the war until December of 41. The war was going on. We just didn't want to have anything to do with it. So like it's kind of like an Americana thing, a little ahead of its time, because there was no way they would have been able to print it in the 3 weeks from the point we declared war, December 7th. So this was done because there was a war going on. Like, hey, let's be pro-American. It's a very small window of time, and that's like I love, and that's like the magazines, like they're dated. Yeah, there were thousands of these copies that were issued, but that's why it's called ephemera. It's ephemeral. They weren't designed to still be around, and so some of this art that still exists, it's fantastic. Um, I do still like to shop on Etsy as well. And that's why I started with Etsy as a seller, because I used that as my primary source to buy. Um, because of what I was buying, it tended to, even if I was paying a little bit more, I felt it, I don't know, like the pictures were higher end. And you see that on eBay, you know, and I really do pay attention. If I buy something, like if I buy a piece of copper luster, or if I buy something to go into my collection, I will pay attention to see what else that seller is selling. If they're selling other fine antiques, then I don't get really worried about how they're going to ship it to me. But if they're selling car parts, and then suddenly and there's nothing wrong with selling car parts. But if you're selling car parts and then suddenly you're selling this copper luster pitcher, all right, are you like, I'm going to really pay attention to your review, your feedback now, because I don't trust, like people sell anything and there's nothing wrong with that, but I need to make sure that it's, you know, how good was the picture. If you don't normally sell porcelain and you only show me one side of the piece, I'm at least going to ask for more pictures. And it's amazing how many people will not do that, or just no respond. You know, just say, like, hey, can you get a couple extra shots, or you know, is there anything on the bottom? Because like copper luster, the easiest way, you can usually tell by a glance, but not in a picture. The easiest way to tell whether you got an older or newer piece is the newer pieces will be stamped. So it's like, please show me the bottom or show me the inside. If the inside is white, it's newer. It doesn't mean it's not 19th century, but it's newer. I want to know that. They don't even take a picture. I'm like, okay, you're asking $45 for something you don't even prove what it is. So I'm not buying it from you. And then I try not to take offense when I get comments when people, like the person that bought the Disneyland ephemera sent this like super long note saying, please make sure these are all sandwiched in cardboard. Please make sure they're wrapped in plastic. Please make sure, you know, I don't want any damage, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, you just paid $65 for old paper. I get it. But I'm also like, give me some credit here. I do know how to ship, but that's probably someone who's gotten burned. You know, somebody who's gotten something shipped to them that, you know, and I've gotten stuff like postcards and stuff shipped just in a regular envelope. Like, okay, well, I'm grateful that it didn't get bent, but if you didn't even put a piece of cardboard to help make some rigidity, I'm not giving you a 5-star review. Like, that's not a good way to send paper. And it's always the ones that don't specialize in that kind of stuff. If they're like, oh yeah, I've got this cool, you know, indenture. Oh, I'm just going to fold it up in an envelope. Don't do that. So anyway, this like went longer than I'd anticipated, but I appreciate those of you that came out. So like I said, if you saw anything you liked, you know, send me an email. I'm sure we can work something out. So they will pop up. Coming up, let's see. I don't have my calendar in front of me. There is another, so we just did a drop sale for February. I hosted that one. There's a handful of pieces left from mine. So I've got a couple canceled checks left. I got a couple of the popcorn bags of the Parrot popcorn is left. I think I've got 2 of those left because I had a bunch of those. So I think I've got 2 of those left. Trying to think what's still sitting on my floor at home. So anyway, a couple of those things. I don't know. I think Heather Elizabeth sold out of hers. Trying to think of who else was here that was participating in that sale. There will be another one in March that I will participate in. I also just signed up to participate in the Instagram paper nerd sale. I've got a love-hate relationship with the paper nerd sales, but I will do probably a $5 ephemera sale with that one as well. So that'll be in March, I think 10th and the 11th. And then I will probably do a live sale on my own in March. And I will reschedule the jewelry sale. So that will also be in March. So that was the one I tried to do last week or the week before, but I got snowed in, so I couldn't get to the store. So I will be selling from the store from multiple booths. I will be selling their inventory. So watch for that. I will promote that. So a couple of things. So I don't think I'm going to be definitely will not be doing sales every week. That was burning me out. So I definitely, but I do want to start being consistent, doing something. So I might just have videos drop on Thursday nights. So if at any point, if you see me drop like the video that I filmed today, that showed the trunk and showed like these just amazing architectural salvage pieces, I'll probably post that to run on a Thursday night. So if you see that, it's like, okay, well, Trusty's not doing another video because that's what. So I still want to. It's never been my night, but for 2 years I did something at 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday every week. So I want to get back in the habit, and that'll just motivate me. If I just can have a goal of doing one a week, whether it's a sale or a video or something, get back in the algorithm so that even YouTube knows that I exist. But appreciate all of you that came out tonight. So, and saying hi to Fluffy Otter. So I will be doing a deep dive coming up with Heather Elizabeth from Antique Agenda. We will be doing a deep dive on, it's going to be her version of a deep dive with her, I can't remember now the order, Brocant and Bergamot, Brocant. Anyway, on her channel. That'll be coming up in March. We'll be talking about Victorian trade cards. So we are going to be doing a kind of a version of a deep dive on that. And then I still need to do a deep dive on Lillian porcelain. During the pandemic, I stockpiled every back stamp that Lillian porcelain ever used. I now have one example of every piece of every back stamp they ever used. I need to turn that into a video, and then I'm going to resell everything that I bought. I need to do that. There we go. Brocant and Bergamot. Sorry, I could not remember which order it was. So that'll be on Heather Elizabeth's channel, Antique Agenda. And she's done some great videos. She did a great one on Victorian calling cards. She did a great one just recently. I was watching it on I can't remember the topic no, I forgot it. She's done several, but there was another one specifically I joined during the live one as opposed to catching it afterwards. So we will be doing Victorian trade cards on her channel. So she also likes doing the research. So we will show that. And then I will actually have Victorian trade cards. They sold some in my drop sale last week, but I will have some more that'll sell in a sale probably after that. She will be on my channel in April. We will actually be selling together, and that will be an ephemera live sale. So she will have some ephemera. I will have some ephemera. So yeah. I appreciate you mentioning the deep dives. I enjoyed doing them. It's just one of those cases, finding the time, finding the, and maintaining the interest in something enough to be able to do it. So there's a couple of topics that I've got a collection of the mother of pearl antique Chinese gaming counters. The main person that I've been buying those from, he has agreed to do a video with me. He's in the UK, so it probably won't be a live deep dive. So we'll probably just pre-record it. But that'll go out as a deep dive talking about those, because that was a fun collection. I really went deep and fast in that. That was one of my more expensive collections to build up that quickly. But I've got pieces from like the 1780s. I mean, that's just, to me, that's super cool. And he's literally written the books on them. So you can, if you ever find them in the wild, which is really, really rare, but if you ever find them in the wild, you can look at them, and based on his knowledge and his books, you can tell, is this a late 18th century piece? Is this an early 19th century piece? What did they start doing as they basically stopped being made by 1850. So if you find any of them, they're old, but even within the oldness, you can determine, some individual ages. So there will be some more coming up. So I appreciate you bringing that up. So appreciate everyone joining us. I won't say I will have another chat next Thursday, but that will be my goal. I will still be traveling. Tonight, I just made sure that I was at the hotel in time. I don't know where I'm going to be next Thursday, because right now I don't have a hotel for next Thursday. I checked out of my hotel on Wednesday and I don't know where I'm going next. Part of it is because I will be eventually heading home and I need to be looking at the weather forecast because I'm heading toward the East Coast and I basically had two options. I could go right along Lake Michigan and Lake Erie, doing that, or like about 20-minute difference, I could go south and go farther south. And because of the ice storm that was hitting, I decided to go south. I don't know if I'm going to come back south or if the weather's nicer, I might go back just a different route and go back a northerly route. So we shall see. We've got a week before I need to worry about that. So we shall see what happens. Thanks so much. Thanks everyone for joining in, and watch for what I might be sharing in the future. Talk to y'all later. Bye.